morning, everyone. Welcome to this morning's inspirational call. I'm glad to hear so many of you dialing in this morning. I hope that you had a blessed weekend. Obviously, we're praying for those of you in the Northeast with the weather being what it is. Tell you what, the weather pattern it's absolutely crazy right now with those nor'easters and bomb cyclones, as they call them. Just really abnormal stuff happening in different parts of the country. So we definitely want to keep you all in prayer. Understand there may be another round of related storms, cold weather-related storms coming you all's way again this week. So be safe up there, stay warm, and protect yourselves as you go through your week. But we're really glad to have each of you on the call. If this is your first time joining in, we do these calls every Monday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to get our week off to a great start with a few words of encouragement. Often, most every time we take a biblical or spiritual look at the subject matter that we're dealing with. Once again, just to kind of get ourselves in the right frame of mind to deal with the rest of our day and the rest of our week. 2018 marks my 8th year doing this call, and I enjoy it for my own personal studies, and I hope that you derive some benefit from this as well. We just completed, and thank you for being patient with me on last week. I was coming off of a leadership retreat, got in really late/early in the morning, and when my alarm clock went off, it was just really laughable. You all did not want to hear my voice. I would have had my best Barry White impression going on that early in the morning. I really just needed some rest. So thank you all for giving me a slight reprieve last week. Thank you to my sister Gwen for jumping on and making you all aware of that. Starting a new series on today. A new series. As you all know, we just finished the series that I really enjoyed that we dealt from the book that was written by Stephen Covey called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I hope you enjoyed that. I got a lot from revisiting that. I think I've read that book 3 or 4 times. And I still encourage each of you, if you can, to get a copy of that book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Several great principles that we were able to extract from Stephen Covey's book. This week we're starting a new series. You might want to write this book down. As you all know, I love personal self-development. And I love personal self-development within the context of spiritual development, and that's why I oftentimes marry the two. John Maxwell is another personal development expert. He's a New York Times best-selling author. I've had the privilege of reading this book several times, and this book is called The 360-Degree Leader. The 360-Degree Leader, and the number is written 360. The 360-Degree Leader. And it's written by John C. Maxwell. The subtitle is Developing Your Influence from Anywhere in the Organization. And so for the next maybe 4 to 6 weeks, we're going to be studying. It's a very comprehensive book. Roughly, I don't know, it's a pretty simple read, 350 pages long. I encourage you all to get a digital copy, get your own physical copy as you increase your personal development library. What this book is aiming to do is help us understand that you can be a leader from anywhere, okay? You don't have to be at the top of the organization to be a leader. You can be in the middle of an organization and be a leader. You can be at the bottom of an organization and still be a leader. And so these principles will be very, very, I think, impactful and insightful as we move forward. So let's jump right in. He starts his book off by talking about certain myths. I think he identifies about 7 myths about leading from the middle of an organization. And we're going to deal on today, obviously, with myth number 1, and it's called the position myth. I've trained on this for a number of years, because it is so very powerful. Again, this isn't MLM or network marketing training, and my conversations very rarely focus or revolve around that industry. What I love about personal self-development is that it's applicable across all spectrums. It's applicable across any number of areas of your life. And I see people who oftentimes have misunderstandings, and then which leads to misapplications of certain principles because of a lack of understanding. This will hopefully increase a lot of your understanding, because every person on this phone, you are a leader. you have the potential to become a great leader or an even better leader if we first understand some of the myths and principles that are necessary to become a better leader. This is what he begins to write in the first chapter. And the first myth is called the position myth. Oh, I love this. The position myth. And the subtitle of the chapter says, I can't lead if I'm not at the top. And before I start reading, think about it. How many people, maybe even on this phone, maybe you know somebody, let's say it's not you, you just happen to know somebody who thinks that way. Look, if I'm not first, if I'm not at the top of the organization, then I can't be the leader. I can't participate. I know people like that. Let's read what John Maxwell has written. He says, if I had to identify the number one misconception people have about leadership, it would be the belief that leadership comes simply from having a position or a title. I could stop right there and do a full hour training. Here's what he said. It would be the belief that leadership comes simply from having a position or a title, but nothing could be further from the truth. You don't need to possess a position at the top of your group, department, division, or organization in order to lead. If you think you do, then you have bought into the position myth. My God, that's some good stuff. Oh my gosh. I mean, if you just knew what was in my mind right now, that is just so true. So many people think that, wow, if you give me this title, I need this title, I need to be at this part of my company, this part of my organization, this part of my structure, in order to be lead. And until I do, then I'm not going to lead. Then I can't lead. I'll just exist. And as John Maxwell said, that's the furthest from the truth. I'll give you a quick example of how I have typically, let's say, built in network marketing. Most recently, I was in a travel-related company, and the company had been around in some form for, I don't know, at that point, 11 or 12 years, and was doing, I would say, okay. They were doing okay. There was a leader that was already in place. I would say they roughly had 18 to 20,000, distributors in the company at the time. When I came into the company, I didn't have a large team. Had a handful of leaders that were close to me, and I signed up like everyone else. I didn't have any special deals or payment up front and all that kind of stuff. And so I was technically at the bottom. I was the most recent enrollee. Now, in my mind, I could have said, "Wow, I'm at the bottom," and I guess I'll just see what happens. But I always knew that I was a leader. But here's what I also understand about leadership. Leadership is not given. Leadership is proven. Leadership is not given. Leadership is not ascribed. It's not assigned to you. You know what? You be a leader. No, leadership is proven. I knew that. So coming in the door, there's already 18 to 20,000 people in this company. They bought in and signed up under someone else. They're already following someone else. And so if I wanted a voice, if I wanted attention, if I wanted to be able to serve as some sort of influencer for my team, if I wanted to serve as somehow positioning myself to have the ear and the eye of the ownership group, because I did say this when I went in the door. I said, listen, I'm really not interested anymore long term in terms of being a distributor. And actually, it's the only reason I signed up with this company. I said, I'm looking for my next progression in the industry, which is working at the executive level. Helping to cultivate the culture and the policies and the forward momentum and the direction of a company, which is what I've typically done outside of network marketing. So anyway, but I knew I had to prove myself. I didn't come beating myself on my chest. Here's my resume. No, I said, you know what, in my mind, let me prove to them. So the deal I set up with them was this. Look, give me 30 days. Because they had some monsters of network marketing in the company. I mean, already there, they had two giants. One of them was my mentor. And I said, listen, give me 30 days. If I don't do what you've heard of Spencer Iverson doing, if I don't do what I say I can do in my first 30 days, then look, no problem. I'll just enjoy the opportunity for what it is and move on from it. But if I do, then our agreement is I will become an executive and we'll figure out the title and what my roles and responsibilities will be. So that was the deal. In my first 30 days, long story short, we broke every existing record in that company. I think we put in 3,000 to 4,000 people our first 30 days. My organization was growing by 200 to 300 people per day. And then after those 30 days, I said, I tried to tell you, and I told you, and I did it. Okay? I didn't get, obviously, with the help of a great team and great leadership. But my point is, I came in like everybody else. I came in through the same door. Understand at that time, that company, to this day, and this is no exaggeration, that company at that time, of any company I've ever worked with in my life, had the absolute worst looking website I've ever seen, almost of any business. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. But again, you can either make excuses or you can make money, but you can't make both. And I realized that. And so I really have a place in my heart for this chapter when it says that leadership, when people have the notion that leadership only comes from having a title. No, leadership is something that you prove. People don't want to follow you simply because you have the title or because you've been assigned something or because you've been given something. People follow you because of your influence. And that's honestly how John Maxwell defines leadership. He defines leadership as influence, period. Influence, period. He goes on to say, the true measure, I just quoted that, the true measure of leadership is influence, nothing more and nothing less. He then goes on to describe, and at some point, if you ever get the book, you'll see this hierarchy. And again, I've trained on this. I've had this chart in my trainings. There's 5 levels of leadership. 5 levels of leadership. I want you to understand these 5 levels. It is so important that you understand the 5 levels of leadership. The lowest level of leadership is called positional. That's what we're dealing with today. And he writes about it. People follow you because they have to. Your influence will not extend beyond the lines of your job description at this level. The longer you stay here, the higher the turnover and the lower the morale. I'll give you an example of that. Somebody just gives you the title of VP of something or whatever, and you don't really have the qualifications. You know you don't have the qualifications. Well, you will probably be over a group of people, but the only reason they're following you is because the company gave you a title. Here's the next level of leadership above positional is called permission. Permission leadership is based on relationships. People follow because they want to. People will follow you beyond your stated authority. This level allows work to be fun. Caution, staying too long on this level without rising will cause highly motivated people to become a little bit restless. That's called permission-based leadership. People follow you because they want to. Now, I'm going to go back down a level to highlight one other area of positional leadership, which is very low, and it's nepotism. Nepotism. When you bring your child into your business, and I don't try to sway or have any political slants on these calls. However, in this case, it is very applicable. You look at the Trump White House, right? Who's really following his daughter? I forgot her first name. I think it's Ivanka Trump. Who's really following her? No, people follow her because she's the president's daughter, not because she has this great academic record, she was the former Secretary of State or this great ambassador to the UN. No, your last name is Trump. We kind of got to follow it. Well, how can people follow his son, Jared? Not because of the title or the security clearance he's been given away. No, you married the president's daughter. I mean, so again, they don't follow you because you're good. They don't follow you because they want to. They follow you because you were put in this position because of nepotism, because of who your dad was. And again, that is a very low form of influence. Strip the title away, and we won't follow you, okay? When people follow you otherwise. Here's the third level above permission-based, results-based. Results-based. People follow because of what you have done for your organization. Note, this is where success is sensed by most people. They like you and what you are doing. Problems are fixed with very little effort because of momentum. See, at the production level of influence, this creates what's called buy-in. People see your work, right? When I went into that company and the systems were jacked up, the website was horrific, I didn't complain. It wasn't I had no influence with which to complain. I was just the guy that they've heard of in the industry, and he's historically built big teams. He's made a bunch of money. He knows what he's doing, but hey, he hadn't done anything over here. The whole mindset of what have you done for me lately? I knew that. I never say that. So I went in and I proved that. And that way, not only did I get buy-in from the executives, I got buy-in from my team, but you know what else I got buy-in from? I got buy-in from the 18 to 20,000 who were watching our team dominate in every aspect of the business. The next level above that, that's the fourth highest level, is called people development. People development. It's called also reproduction. Here's what he writes. People follow because of what you have done for them. Note, this is where long-range growth occurs. Your commitment to developing leaders will ensure ongoing growth to the organization and to people. Do whatever you can to achieve and stay on this level. That's called reproduction. See, when you begin to replicate yourself, see, leaders are never threatened by other leaders. I'm going to repeat that. True leaders are never threatened by other leaders, right? Being a leader is one thing, but being a leader of leaders is something else. And actually, some people, and that's when insecurity comes. See, I know I'm dealing with someone insecure when they always feel very protective of their territory. I'm protective of my territory to a certain extent. Now, when I was building in the field, I was the shepherd of my sheep. I was the shepherd of the organization that God had blessed me with. But at the same time, I was not intimidated, nor was I threatened by other leaders who I stood to gain nothing from financially. But if I felt that somehow, some way they could be a benefit or a blessing to my organization, I was never, ever intimidated by them. Some people lord over their organizations. No, you can't talk to my team. Don't go to this training. Well, why? Your voice can actually at some point become numb. People can become desensitized to hearing your voice over and over and over again. Sometimes a new voice saying the same thing can make all the difference in your organization, can make all the difference in your life. A true leader seeks to replicate him or herself, seeks to develop other leaders. And you know what that ultimately does? It makes your job easier. I can't run a big company if it's always about Spencer Iverson. I have to empower and delegate and train. Empower, delegate, and train. I've got to train other people to become as good as they can be within the offices of which they have been assigned or tasked to do. Otherwise, I have no life. If I've got to be the one doing all of the logistics, all of the marketing, all of the accounting, all of everything, then you know what? All the compliance, then you know what? I will live a life most miserable. And the company will fail because one person can't do it all. I have to become adept at creating and developing other leaders. Again, that's a whole nother level of leadership. It's a whole nother level of leadership. And I've seen leaders time after time after time. Maybe it's an ego thing. Don't know what it is, but they're actually threatened by having other leaders help. You oftentimes see it in ministry. I remember my dad sometimes would preach and he'd teach on a particular subject. And, my dad is just giving it to him. Dad is just giving it to him. And no response. No response. Like, man, that was a great sermon. And then, several months later, a guy come in and different personality, different speaking style, exact same teaching. People walking down, I'm giving my life to Jesus. And, you just said it, Pastor. You just said it. And I was like, it's the same thing my dad said. But you know what? These were the regular members. They have become somewhat desensitized to hearing the same message from maybe the same voice over and over again. Sometimes that injection of just something new, saying the same thing, just something new can make all the difference. Understand that as you begin to grow as a leader, don't be threatened by the prospects of having someone else speak to your organization, by the prospects of developing other leaders, because at the end of the day, it's going to bless you as well. Here's the ultimate level of leadership. It's called personhood. Personhood is the highest level of leadership. It comes down to respect. People follow because of who you are and what you represent. That's the highest level of leadership. Note, this step is reserved for leaders who have spent years growing people and organizations. If you make it, those who do are bigger than life. I'm going to repeat the description. It says, this step is reserved for leaders who have spent years. Again, this means that it's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to wake up, look at me, I'm in personhood. I have a lot of respect. No, it's going to take time. It is going to take time. And in this case, it says it's going to take years because influence is something that's cultivated and developed over years. It says this step is reserved for leaders who have spent years growing people and organizations. If you make it, those who do are bigger than life. I think the most notable example when I first read this book at the time was of a leader in my mind who's made it here was President Obama. Someone who just has transcended, despite all of the odds, the fact that we had never had a minority president, the fact that he didn't go the traditional route, the fact that he had to overcome a lot of obstacles and challenges and then galvanize the entire nation, galvanize the entire White House and the Congress and the Senate, and still be able to accomplish many of the tasks that he did during the 8 years of his presidency, the first 4 and repeating it, winning again, and then being a 2-term president. that's a high level of respect, and I can assign this to him by when you look at the people follow you because of who you are and what you represent. What do you stand for? What do you stand for? Or do you stand for anything? Right? And so I see, and I know many of you may have your own examples of individuals that you consider to be high in this regard. Let's finish up with what John Maxwell has said. And he says, but if you lead people using only your position and you do nothing else to try to increase your influence, then people will follow you only because they have to. They will follow you only within the boundaries of your job description. If you move to level 2, you begin to lead beyond your position because you have built relationships with the people you desire to lead. You treat them with dignity and respect. You value them as human beings. You care about them. And now they follow you because they want to. It goes on to say that the 5th and final level, the personhood level, it is not a level one can strive to reach because reaching it is outside of your control. Only others can put you there, and they do so because you have excelled in leading them from the first 4 levels for a long period of time. You have earned the reputation of a level 5 leader, right? So guys, if you're looking really to improve in the area of your life of leadership, which I encourage all of us to do, definitely look to pick up a copy of John Maxwell's The 360-Degree Leader. We're just getting started with this study, but I want to look at a biblical verse or a biblical application. We're going to look at 2 quick verses as we close out the call today. One is in Proverbs. Proverbs 16:7 says, when a man's ways please the Lord, he makes even his enemies to be at peace with him. That's powerful. And Mr. Iverson, how does that have to do with leadership? Well, pleasing God is all about leadership. It's all about leadership. You're being an example. You're being an example to your family, your friends, your circles of influence. And it says that when you do this, when your ways, when your life, again, we all have sinned. We all will continue to sin. None of us are perfect. But it says that when your ways, when the sum total of your life pleases God, it says even your enemies will be at peace with you. Right? It's even the people who mean you harm, even the people who don't want to see you do good in life. They're like, I'm trying not to like the guy, but doggone it, too. I mean, it's just this spirit, this protection, this veil, this covering encompasses you and surrounds your life because you know what? We are not here to please man. I had to say that to someone recently. We were in an interesting conversation, and I made the statement, and I don't think still that he got it, but I'm just at peace in my life. And I made the statement to him. I said, dude, I'm not trying to make everybody like me. I'm just beyond that in my life because I've realized now in my life, at this point in my life, everybody's not, no matter how hard you try, no matter how hard you try, there will just be some people who don't like you because you smile different or because you wore white shoes instead of black. They will find a reason not to like you. So that's not my objective in life, to be liked by everybody. Right, or to please man. My objective in life is that at the end of the day, be pleasing to God. Am I a man who God admires? Am I, again, not being perfect, but am I principled? Do I understand the bigger picture? And by so doing, the Bible says even your enemies will be at peace with you. Here's another great scripture as we close, and it's also in Proverbs. I love Proverbs. Proverbs 16, starting at verse 10, it says, a good leader motivates, doesn't mislead, and doesn't exploit. God cares about honesty in the workplace. Your business is his business. Good leaders abhor wrongdoing of all kinds. Sound leadership has a moral foundation. Oh, that's good. Good leaders cultivate honest speech. They love advisors who tell them the truth. Oh, that's so good. I'm going to stop right there. It says, they love advisors who tell them the truth. It goes back to that principle, garbage in, garbage out. Right? I was having a little issue with my niece, some legal things we were working on last week, and I was taking her to meet an attorney, and I got her in the car and I said, listen, I'm not judging you. She recently had a run-in with the law. I said, I'm not judging you. I'm not perfect. I don't want you to think your uncle is perfect, but I need to know what happened. I need you to tell me the truth because I cannot be your advocate to this attorney. I can't even decipher whether or not this is good counsel or not if I don't know the truth. Here's why I was telling her that. Garbage in, garbage out. Garbage in, garbage out. So if you mislead me, then my analysis of this person is going to be faulty as well because I was not given the truth. I need advisors around me who simply tell me the truth so I can also make the best decision I need to make for my life as well as for our company. It says, an intemperate leader wreaks havoc in lives. You're smart to steer clear of someone like that. Good temperate leaders invigorate lives. They're like spring, rain, and sunshine. Man, have you ever been around a leader who just seems to just brighten your day? Right? A good leader would do that. We all have bad days. We all have bad days. But a good leader doesn't bring you down. Now, a good leader will chastise you when necessary, but more often than not, you want to be around a good leader. He or she should feel like, according to the Bible and Proverbs, spring, rain, and sunshine. Just all those negative ions just infusing your spirit, right? So verse 16 says, get wisdom. It's worth more than money. Choose insight over income every time. Oh, that's the move. Write that down. Choose insight over income. And that's one of the things I've prayed for years. Not wealth, not a big house, not a fast car, more clothes. No, I prayed for wisdom. Because if God blesses me with wisdom, if God blesses me with a higher understanding and spirit of discernment, then everything else that I'm looking for, God will give to me if it is his will. That's what Solomon did as a young man. Solomon didn't ask for the whole world. Solomon asked for women. Solomon asked for wisdom. And because he asked for wisdom, God gave him everything else he so desired. So guys, this is just a small taste of what we're going to be going over the next several weeks as we study from not only the Bible, but John C. Maxwell's The 360-Degree Leader. Let's go to God in prayer. Dear God, we thank you for this day. As always, we thank you for waking us up and giving us this gift of another day. May we never take it for granted because there are so many who did not wake up this morning. There's so many who are battling life-threatening illnesses and disease, and just be with those families. Be with the caretakers, Lord. Those are the individuals who are oftentimes forgotten. We pray for the sick and those whose bodies have been ravaged by illness and disease, but sometimes we forget about the loved ones who have to take time out of their lives to visit and to consult and console and to minister physically and otherwise to their loved ones. So be with them, give them strength at this time. Always forgive it. We ask for forgiveness, Lord, for those things that we have done wrong, whether knowingly or unknowingly. Help us just to be a little bit better in the future than we have been in the past. We thank you for the study. We thank you for every individual family that's represented on this call. Bless us as we go through this week. Keep us safe. Bless those who are traveling. Bless those in the Northeast who are really dealing with some really harsh weather. Please keep them safe as they go to and fro. Bless my daughter, who has some tests she needs to undergo. We trust that all of the tests that we ran will come out negative, and that we will remove any doubt and worry that she may have. We love you, Lord, and we thank you. It is in your Son, Jesus Christ's name, that we pray. Amen. All right, guys. Well, good morning. Let me look at my time. Right on time, 2 minutes early. I try to get the call done in 30 minutes, but I do encourage you all once again to go ahead and get the book, The 360-Degree Leader. Read ahead. I think you'll find some really empowering information, and even if you just get one thing that you can take out of these books and these studies that you can apply to your life to enrich your lives, it will have been worth it. Hey guys, have a wonderful week. Have a wonderful day. Look forward to speaking with you again, Lord's willing, next Monday morning